Hey folks, it's Soul, and I have some great and maybe not so great news for you Transmog collectors. Now, you've been waiting patiently, maybe you've been doing a little bit of healing over the past couple of years, but it's time. It's time to come back to the Shadowlands. And here's why in this intermediate collection guide. I'm going to talk as if we've put in pretty considerable amount of time into Shadowlands and are familiar with the Covenant and how their collections work, so you've been warned. In the upcoming War Within pre-patch, appearance tokens bought off the 4 Covenant Quartermasters have been updated to be unlockable regardless of the armor or gear type that you are. It doesn't matter who bought the token. Once you use that token, anyone who is eligible to use that appearance can use it. These items are bought with a mix of anima and grateful offerings. From the current data mining in the upcoming pre-patch, anima and offerings are also going to be tradable across the account. This means a huge opportunity for those of us who enjoy collecting appearances but wanted to just kind of wait for something to change so that we wouldn't have to basically max out 4 different characters' covenants and reps and so on and so forth. The immediate call to action for you folks at home is, if you have time on you, start farming now. Using myself as an example, when the Shadowlands expansion was current, I focused entirely on collecting appearances for just my paladins, as well as most of the pets and mounts and toys, and apparently I still need thousands of grateful offerings and hundreds of thousands of anima if I wanted the other armor and weapon appearances. Today I'm going to go through a checklist of things to help you out if you want to return or even start this journey of collecting in Shadowlands. Again, it's going to be pretty high level. I'm going to pretend that you kind of have a good idea of what I'm talking about, and this is made to mostly jog your memory, get you started without overwhelming you with information that'll suddenly turn you off again. Even as a superfan content creator person, I do advise moderation in a game like this, and the more casual approach to the likes of collections. It's no rush. Paying off has obviously benefited because now the farming is going to be that much easier. So first things first, we want to find out just how many grateful offerings and anima that we have in the first place, and then track it. You might already have one of several add-ons that do this, but just in case, I have a suggestion. An add-on called Saved Instances can be configured to display your stored anima and grateful offerings, so you know where to go once you're able to move these currencies across characters should you want to do so. From the options menu, go to currency and then simply choose the currencies that you want to track. And then make sure that you log on to each of your alts so that the add-on starts tracking how much stuff you have. Again, moving the currencies isn't a required thing to do, but assuming that there's going to be no penalty for transferring these currencies around, it's going to help to not have spare stuff lying around, like you just have loose change that you're not spending. If one half of this picture is knowing what you have, the other half is knowing how much more you're going to need, of course. All the Things is another add-on that you want to install that will count this up for you. From the options menu, under General, make sure that you have account mode on to track your account, and then choose the account-wide things for all that interest you, like appearances. Then in your currency tab, you can mouse over your Reservoir Anima and Grateful Offering currencies to see a count of what you need to collect all the things. With these 2 add-ons, you now have a snapshot of your progress. The All the Things add-on will also inform you of what direction you should be going for your collections, which for the most part is any of the 4 covenants and their many vendors, and also shows where they are in everything. The next part of this guide is going to include the bulk of what you're going to be farming, but not all of it. There are collectibles that still require 1 character of each armor type, with a great deal of progression involved with unlocking events and reps and so on. Things can change between now and the War Within expansion, and things can change later. Our patience might be worth it. I mean, there could be a Shadowlands remix down the line for all we know. But again, for now, we're going to focus on what you can start doing today, and at a pretty easygoing and a productive rate. You'll need to identify a Shadowlands champion on your account, the character who has the most progression with all 4 Shadowlands Covenants. Whoever that is probably has the most perks that'll let you earn the most anima and grateful offerings, but there are a few minimum requirements you ought to meet. Your champion is going to want to have at least 1 Covenant Sanctum fully upgraded, as in all 4 of its features, meaning a bit of an anima investment and time spent in the maw fetching and turning in those souls. Having high renown in each covenant helps too, and there's a vendor by the flight point in Oribos that provides a handy little renown catch-up that'll help you out with that. Additionally, it does help a bit to have the anima conductor of all 4 covenants maxed out on this character to get more grateful offerings too. I suggest an early investment into that to save time in the long run. And again, I'm suggesting this as a long-term approach and not some sweaty grind that you gotta race to the end for by the time the War Within is ready to launch. Shadowlands collections are pretty intense, and the last thing that we want you to do is to burn out over a years-old expansion. Here's a list of suggested activities for you to collect anima and grateful offerings from their most lucrative sources. Covenant callings give a lot of grateful offerings and anima by consequence. You pick up to 3 of these quests from your Covenant Sanctum, and this is shared across all covenants. Like, you can't just do one Covenant calling and then switch to another Covenant and do another round. These are going to be easy to knock out, and they're even easier when they happen to overlap. As you do these, you're going to discover patterns. You'll find out how sometimes, depending on your chosen covenant, you might have an opportunity to knock out like all 3 of your quests without even leaving your zone. The grateful offerings that you get from here depend on the level of anima conductor you have on the covenant you are currently with, hence my suggestion that you power up the anima conductor across all 4 covenants to make life easier. A new calling pops up each day, so you're going to want to check back on these every few days. Another small consideration is to actually use the conductor to unlock outdoor activities. Now, they're not a huge deal to do, and it does take a while to build them up to a point where they'll feel really worthwhile. But as for outdoor content, you're definitely going to find value at targeted world quests that provide anima, and the world bosses are definitely worth it. At 500 anima per, and with your current levels and gear, you're going to smoke these things in no time for a quick payout. There's kind of an order to things though, which I'll talk about right now. There are 2 big weekly quests in Korthia and Zereth Mortis to pick up that ask you to fill up the bar, or basically do a lot of activities in the zone, including defeating the world bosses. Korthia includes lots of little treasures and rares and daily quests that you can complete on the way towards completing this weekly. Also, the Maw includes the Covenant Assault, which also give big chunks of anima. It's being said that Zereth Mortis is probably the best place to go for high-value anima rewards from treasures and rares, which, again, contribute to its own weekly quest that also gives grateful offerings. A big chunk of the farming is going to be a little bit grindy because of your higher level, and also manageable because you'll be only checking in every few days for Covenant callings and Covenant assaults, and then the rounds of weekly quests. Like I said, there are grindier things to do, like all the grateful offering quests and world quests across each covenant, and hard grinding Torghast for more anima at the end of a run maybe, but even as a friendly tip, I wouldn't suggest doing those things, at least not first. I would suggest maybe raids after the War Within patch, that way you can get anima and appearances from the raid. The weapons from Castle Nathria, by the way, are bought with special tokens dropped from the raid. Those will unlock appearances regardless of armor type 2, so you can use one character to farm all of them up, but good luck as some fights are just way less soloable than others. There's just no rush really, as long as you manage how you want to farm for all of these appearances. Personally, I happened to make a game of it back then. I started off with getting all the shields, and then all the armor ensembles, and then finally the weapons, and this was just for platewares for my paladin. I'm just suggesting to you bite-sized goals that you can feel accomplished by, rather than the 700,000 or higher long-term grind, but that's for later. Until the pre-patch, we're limited to just farming up currency while we pass the time. I hope this video helped out, or at least didn't traumatize you too much. Please like it, subscribe for more coverage, catch me live, and I'll catch you later. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay breezy.